So hello and welcome back to episode 6, where we are going back to do another review. This time we're moving over to TV review. We're doing TV series. And I've already said it in the introduction. This one is not going to be pretty. I know we weren't exactly fans of the old guard, but oh my God, it's going to be dark. So we're back here again with Nathan.
Hey guys.
And we are reviewing Cursed on Netflix. I honestly don't even know what to say.
I think Cursed is a fairly apt title because it was pretty shocking for me. I was watching it. I felt like I was watching something you watched after Newsround on BBC One on BBC Kids shows. Like, just not good. When I heard there was one of the Skarsgård brothers in it, I thought, oh, that'll be good. At least he's good. They got the only Skarsgård brother that can't act to play Merlin. Just not great. Not great.
I'll tell you where I got a little bit further than you. I got to episode 7, and by the time I got to 7, I think I was clipping my toenails halfway through because it was more of an event than what I was watching. Yeah. So I must have been just looking down and went, oh, they cut my toenails. I did that rather than watch the rest of episode 7.
I only watched 2 episodes, but I didn't manage to watch either of them in one go.
It was bad.
Yeah, really bad.
The best description I can possibly think of Cursed is like, have you ever watched Midsummer?
Yeah.
So you know when you get shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and other kind of shows where they do like a special kind of episode, like they do a musical or they do like an old theme. Imagine Midsummer did an episode that was in like Arthur Legend era. That's what I watched. It was 7.5 hours of that. It was terrible. It was god awful.
I don't think there was any redeeming features in it for me. Acting was bad. Script didn't seem great. Production, just very, what you'd expect. Shots, nothing spectacular. No big scenes. Even Peter Mullen couldn't save it, and he's normally one of my favourite actors. Just atrociously bad. And then I think I said to you, why when King Arthur is swinging about Excalibur, it's got lightsaber noises? I still never understood.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, like, for me, like you're saying, like the cast, when you read that cast, I was kind of interested. I was like, Catherine Langford, I'm a huge 13 Reasons Why fan, and she was fantastic and absolutely epic. But the poor girl just can't seem to catch a break. You know what I mean? She almost ended up in Avengers. That got cut. She ended up in Knives Out, a huge success, barely in it. Mm-hmm. And then she ends up in Cursed, which is an absolute heap of beep, 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 beep. So she's got some other stuff coming up, and I will, without a doubt, follow her because I think she's a very, very talented actress. I just don't think that anything she's now been in has been worth it. You know what I mean? I've not seen her. I don't think anyone's gave her the opportunity where she could actually probably showcase how good.
It felt very forced, her acting in it. I mean, it didn't help with some of the makeup she was getting when she was getting that green stuff on her face. Just looked terrible. And just some really poor dialogue as well. The bits with her and her mother, I didn't really see the point in them in the story. I know it's to do with her background, but they were pointless conversations. They could have done it in a much better way, I think. It's just, I was thinking I will try and watch a few more just because we're going to be doing this, but I couldn't make myself do it. I mean, I've watched some terrible things the last few days, and they were better than that.
Do you know what my killer point was that I realised? And this is when I realised that it wasn't a great deal to do, especially with Catherine Langford playing Nimue. I realised there was a lot to do with the production of the show, which I noticed there's a couple of things I'll bring up as well. So there's an episode where she, spoiler alert, if you've not watched it, there's an episode where her village is under attack and she's running through the village. And as she's running around and all of it's like they're basically trying to do a big Battle of the Bastards scene from Game of Thrones, where everything's getting pulled about, but it was done so poorly. Everything that Tom Cruise has ever done for running in action films was completely destroyed by Catherine Langford in that scene.
Yeah.
No fault of her own. I mean, no fault of her own. She had to do that kind of comedy run where she was going slower than the camera, and it looked awful. And the minute I seen that, when I was watching that, I just went, this is the director. I know this is the second review I'm going to point out that I still feel this is the director, but if this was the director, I'm sorry, whoever you are, don't even know who you are. It was bad. It was so badly done. Catherine Langford had to do that.
Yeah.
You know, that jolly old knees up running, which is like, how can you put me in a? We're already going back to King Arthur era, and it's such a hard era to kind of try and understand. Any sort of fantasy is really hard to put yourself in it as a viewer, and then they make it blatantly obvious that it's acting.
Yeah. No, there's just I mean, there's just a myriad of things wrong with it. You know, I sort of started watching. I thought, you know, this is really colourful. This is going to be quite interesting, and all that sort of stuff. And then it just sort of, then they started acting, and I just thought, ooh. I mean, I did some amateur dramatics when I was 12, and I think I could have done better than almost all of them in that TV show.
I felt that it was you know, the amateur dramatic group that's in Hot Fuzz. I think they were involved.
But I mean, the thing about it's obviously not got a small budget. You know, that you can tell that they've spent a bit of money on it. But you get things like, you know, Umbrella Academy, which obviously is a much better TV show. But if you look at it and analyse it, although there's a couple of big set piece scenes in it, most of it it's close quarters. It's in rooms. They make it look really cool. They have a really cool soundtrack over it, and that's what makes the pro. I mean, it helps that it's, you know, good base material and, you know, a very good writer that's done it and a good directors. But I just don't see how Netflix can make those two shows.
But I know I don't understand, because this is a Frank Miller comic that came out in 2019. To be honest, I would never lie to anyone who watches this. I haven't read it. I flicked through it for the purposes of doing this review, but I actually had only briefly heard of it and never picked it up from no reason. I just never hit my radar, unfortunately. But I did pick it up. I did flick through it quickly just to kind of see what we were getting from it before I actually watched the show. And it doesn't remotely have the same. It doesn't have a Frank Miller feel whatsoever. I mean, you're talking about Batman Year One, The Dark Knight, Sin City, 300, Daredevil. That's all his stuff. I mean, then we got CBeebies does Game of Thrones.
And I just thought I think that the sort of King Arthur Dark Ages thing, it would have lent so well to like the noir feel of like Sin City or 300. You know, that sort of, you know, slightly off black and white feel, you know, red flashes for blood and stuff like that. I mean, they did like one like split second at the end of the first season when she's got the sword and she has that terrible sword fight with those guys around the rock. It looks like it was like 4-year-old kids playing with plastic swords.
Yeah.
And then you see flashes of red that you get in 300.
Yeah.
And other than that, there's nothing that even suggests that it's a Frank Miller thing.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find that clip of where we're making that example about where it hits the screen. I'll pop it here if I can find it. If I can't, I'm looking like an idiot pointing in there. But hopefully I'll even try and screenshot it. I'll even try and get it. I'll play it and find it and get it up just so people can understand what we're talking about. But you're completely right. It was this. There's a lot of transition shots that they do. If anyone that hasn't watched it yet, in between different scenes, they kind of paint a kind of watercolor, weird kind of transition through, which doesn't feel right. It feels as if, wait, we're making this from a comic book. We have to have something comic book in it. Yep. It feels as if Frank Miller turned up on set and went, this is a comic book. It has to have a comic book feel. And they were like, oh, it's a comic book. Let's put transition shots of watercolor and make it look comic booky. Who knows? Like this, it was really, really bizarre.
We went into they did it in the first episode, but the second episode doesn't really have it. It's just, you know,
it's scattered so much through the whole show. And it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, currently, what we're looking at, IMDb 5.6 out of 10, 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 3.7 on Google. So it's not like super, super terrible reviews. It's just not great.
It must only be children doing them so far then.
I mean, it's
Because
not. It's definitely. It's not aimed at kids because it's violent. It's very violent.
15 rating, on Netflix. So those scores surprised me, especially the Rotten Tomatoes one.
It's coming currently on 72%. There's going to be a lot of people who still haven't watched it. I think it did hit number one in the UK for Netflix. I'm not sure if it hit number one in USA for Netflix, but it's still probably got quite a long way to go to reach its full viewership. So I can see that dropping.
I think me and you, Chris, need to assess if we know TV and film. Then.
Dude, like, I think that if Netflix wants someone to make sure that every TV show is like banging, come see us. Unpopular opinion. Stay tuned. We've got a couple of episodes of them that are going to happen soon. We're going to have basically a round table. It's still Zoom meetings just now when I'll be recording it, but in the future we're going to have basically a round table of unpopular opinion where one of us gives their unpopular opinion against three very polarized opinions. So it's going to be the same idea where I know who whatever opinion is, and I'll be releasing the opinion on everyone else at the table. So we'll get amazing reactions hopefully from that. Anyway, back to this absolute turd fest. So I was one thing I discovered literally just a couple of minutes before we started recording is Frank Miller is credited as being on set as a creator of the program.
Gee, like a consultant.
Yeah, it just says his term on where I searched for it is program creator. So I don't know if that means that he has created the whole idea of the program because he is a comic, or he was involved on set.
Like a showrunner type idea.
Yeah, not sure. I'll go in a wee bit more into detail, and I'll add that to summary of the video just if I find any more detail about that. But it's very strange. One of the last
bit of the old $6.
Yeah, he's 63 now. He's getting on.
Plus, Netflix has bought a lot of comic book property to turn into things. You never know. Maybe he's got this, but maybe he's got another few things lined up as well. You never know.
Yeah. I know Netflix did buy Miller World, so Mark Miller, I want you on this show. Come on. You know you want to. Please. I went from saying I want you on this show to almost begging, please come on. Please. So much we can talk about. Anyway, one of the other points I felt was about the casting again is obviously Catherine Langford, Gustav Skarsgård, and the other guy, right? So this is what surprised me. Daniel Sharman plays the Weeping Monk. So I don't know if do you recognize Daniel Sharman from any of his previous shows? He was by far the best villain that the Walking Dead world has had. So in the Walking Dead universe, he played Troy Otto, who was the son on the farm.
Oh yeah, sorry, I do know who he's been.
Yeah, so that's Troy Otto. He was by far one of the most complex, amazingly put together characters that the Walking Dead universe has ever seen. I won't say what happens. He's not in it. But what a character! What the acting in it? He just was a powerhouse of acting. In this, I don't know. It just disappears. It just fades away. But his introduction shot, which I think you said you liked, Nathan.
You didn't like it though. You said.
Yeah, I didn't like it, right? But I did. I liked the shot. The shot was stunning. The shot was really, really nice. But it wasn't earned.
Yeah.
That's what I felt. It was like we just got to see this cloaked, scary-looking character with everything on fire behind him, and it was stunning and beautifully shot. But I didn't really know who he was and didn't really care who he was. There was no build up to it. There was nothing up to it. And then we have poor Daniel Sharman after that trying to constantly find his feet into the villainy that the script has not earned. Absolutely just not earned.
I think it does show you that if you get like him and then like you said, Catherine Langford, Peter Mullen, it's not a bad cast. So it suggests to me that it is the direction and the writing are at fault for what we perceive to be the poorness of the show.
Yeah. Peter Mullen absolutely owned every scene that Peter Mullen was owned by him, absolutely owned by him. He doesn't even have to say anything. I was discussing with you when there was a scene where It was literally just the camera pans over a burning village and he happens to be standing there. You would forget that there's a giant burning village behind them. He just pulls you in. And I can even remember the exact shot. I've only watched this once, and I can even remember it was shot perfectly. He's standing with his robe, just looking at the sky. And I'm not joking, it's all him. And I'm not saying that just because, if anyone thinks I'm just because he's Scottish, I'm sitting backing him up. Like, I'm not, because there's a lot of really bleeping bad Scottish actors, like a lot.
I think you got to look at with Peter Mullen, just to sort of digress a little bit. If you look at the last few years, the TV shows he's done, you know, in Westworld, fantastic. In Ozark, brilliant as a sort of maniacal, you know, leader type figure. I mean, I just thought he'd make a great bad guy in the Marvel universe, wouldn't he?
Oh, please. That would be fantastic. He would just
you know more about that than me, but he'd be fantastic, wouldn't he?
Yeah. That would be, I'm trying to think off the top of my head who I could think he could play that's not had MD.
Quite godlike, I'd imagine.
Yeah. He would just sit on a throne, just owning it, absolutely owning it. So yeah, there you go. That's what you can do, Marvel. Yeah. You cast Peter Mullen. It was here first. If anyone says Peter Mullen joining Marvel or the DC universe, we said it first.
We'll take 0.1%, yeah, of the take.
1%? I'll take 0.1%, Nathan.
0.1%. I'll do this.
When you said 1%, I'm like, well, that's probably bedillions. Yeah. I honestly, like, I would normally try and talk a little bit longer about this, but I really, really don't want to. No. I honestly don't have anything to say that isn't going to be good, that it's going to be good. It's just sad. Like, I thought this was going to be a really, really interesting concept, and it was
the trailer looked like it was going to be decent, you know? So that's what disappointed me a little bit. Like I said, I think I made that fairly disparaging remark about Gustav Skarsgård, and maybe it's a case of maybe he got bad direction as well, you know? So
yeah.
Either that or he's the Stephen Baldwin of the Skarsgård family.
That's a lovely but terrifying point for the Baldwin family to be compared to that. Sorry, my cat's decided to just join. I don't know what he's doing. Come on, big guy. Say hello. There you go. Jesus. Yeah, so my cat's more interesting even than the review of Cursed. There you go. I'm actually so turned off by it that I'd rather talk to my cat who I see every day. Anyway, any other final words you want to put on this wonderful package we've left?
Please, somebody give it some bad reviews so that me and Chris don't look like complete idiots.
Yeah, I mean, we are turning into the middle-aged geeky white men club on the channel. If anyone is watching this, I have put up on our Twitter that we are wanting to expand people. We are wanting to talk to more people. So if there's anybody who's not a middle-aged white man that wants to get involved, please send us your details and we'll have you on the show and do a couple of reviews or talk about something. So we're next going to be joining myself, Nathan and Tony, and I think one other, possibly one of our new hosts is going to be joining as well for a review on The Boys. That's going to come up, so stay tuned for that. It's been fantastic talking to you, Nathan. Hopefully we can get rid of that stain that is in our minds of how terrible.
Enjoy a good discussion, Chris, so we'll be all right.
Yeah.
Get on to The Boys, I'm happy. I can sit here and I'll smile and I'll giggle and I'll laugh. It'll be great.
Spoiler alert, Nathan likes it.
I'm watching it just before we came on.
There you go. So hopefully we'll catch up on the next one. But thank you very much for joining me, Nathan.
Well, buddy, speak later.
Thank you. We can do this all day.